Welcome to Magical Meetups. I'm Candace.
And I'm Nicole. This podcast is about growing and learning through discovery of all things metaphysical and supernatural. Okay, so today we're going to talk about our first spooky edition.
Whoop whoop.
Is Ouija boards.
I don't know how I feel about this one.
I'm super interested.
I am too, but the whole time I was researching it, I was like, oh, I felt some kind of way.
So, for the people out there, Ouija boards have been in a lot of movies, a lot of media. Was originally introduced as a children's game.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, which was wild.
And they still have it as on the toy aisle in a lot of like big chain stores, like Target. I know has it. I don't know about Walmart. I'm sure you can get it online.
Yeah, but it's really crazy how they just put it out there, and if you're not hip to the information, then you don't know what you could be messing with.
Exactly, because they just like say, oh, it's a spooky, let's get it for Halloween.
Yeah.
And then you have all these little 13-year-olds like messing with something that can be
very detrimental.
Yes.
So we are going to kind of give you the history first. I have some kind of experiences with it, and then kind of what it is, what it has been seen as, and just like some general information. And it's kind of spooky because if you don't use it right, you can get things attached to you, and you can let things come through that you might not want.
And if you don't say goodbye the way you should, they might stay.
Yeah, they might move on in. And I don't think most of us want things to just move on in.
Hell no.
So, and this is also how a lot of people get, like, haunted houses, or they end up with, crazy attachments and stuff like that. So it's a pretty crazy thing. So starting out in 1890, the Ouija board was created for supernatural communication, which that's what most of us know it as. If you don't think it's just a regular kid game. So it was also the focus of several lawsuits. The guide provided access to materials related to the Ouija board in the Chronicling America digital collection of historic newspapers. So I'm on the Library of Congress, which I was like, the Library of Congress has information about the Ouija board. What? So the typical Ouija board was very plain. It had yes, no, and then it had the alphabet, and then it had numbers 1 through 9, and then at the end there was 0. And then it said goodbye, and that was it. It had a couple of stars and a moon and things like that, but it was very plain. Nowadays, people can have them in different sizes. Oh my gosh,
you can make all kinds of different things. It's crazy.
So, and it came with a planchette, which is the little kind of, it's not a triangle, but it's kind of
the mover, the cursor.
Yeah, the cursor. But it has a hole in it, and the original one was very plain. So we're just making a wood board and then a wood planchette with a hole in the middle. Nowadays, you can get crystal ones, crystal planchettes. You can get so many things now. But it was the first talking board. It was manufactured in the U.S. in 1890, like I said. So it was printed just regular. It kind of looked like just the alphabet and some numbers. It didn't really look like something that was meant for communication or anything. It might have looked like decoration.
Right. But you know what's insane about this is back in, I don't even know what year, but let's burn everybody that did witchcraft. But let's make this spirit board, 100 years later, and so we can talk to dead people. Because that's cool.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't understand people.
I also don't. And then, it became, a huge deal.
Right.
So it wasn't burn the witches and then, I occasionally see this Ouija board. No, they put it on toy aisles.
Yeah.
For children to play with. What? And people burned because they thought that their child was influenced by a witch. What? So it was very mysterious when it first came out. The board became known as the Ouija Board in 1886 in Chestertown, Maryland, and it was named in 1890 in Baltimore, where it was first manufactured. So it was born 1886, Maryland. 4 years later, actually manufactured in Baltimore.
Fun fact, do you know how it got its name?
No, tell me.
So they asked the board.
Listen.
Yes, I'm not even joking. They asked the board what the name should be, and that's what it spelled out.
If the board gives you the answer of what the name should be, I don't think it should be a kid toy.
Right?
What other kid toy do you know that names itself? I feel that's a very strange thing to be cool with.
And you know what? I forget what they asked next, but you know what it said?
What?
Good luck. Not even joking.
Yeah, no.
It was hold my beer.
It was 100% oh, we got you now.
Yeah.
Oh, you going to ask us? Let me tell you. So, since the Ouija inception, newspapers reported on its use as a way to communicate with the dead. So they were communicating through newspapers that this was the way to communicate with the dead. They also said that it was a way to predict catastrophes, solve mysteries, even commit crimes. Why is this a kid toy? So from the beginning, they was by the way,
this is what it's going to do. This is wow. And, it doesn't really come with direction. So,
oh, no.
I myself have bought one just to see.
Yeah.
And have I used it? No. Because I'm terrified of it. But it doesn't really, say, hey. The only thing it did say is you should always say goodbye.
Yeah.
In there, but it doesn't give you, hey, you should be careful when using this. You should probably...
You should know what to ask and what not to ask.
They don't give you pointers like that.
There's no, tips for using a Ouija board.
No.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So, it grew to popularity in the wake of World War I. Newspaper covers spread about Pearl Curran, a St. Louis housewife who used the Ouija board to talk with the spirit of a 17th century woman named Patience Worth. Miss Curran went on to publish Patience's writing, many of which went to critical acclaim.
Wow.
So she was basically talking to a 17th century woman and then publishing what she wrote and how her life was.
Wow.
Which is wild. So, kind of a timeline to kind of catch us up. So, 1890, Elijah Bond and Charles Kenner began manufacturing the Ouija board in Baltimore after reporting holding a seance with Helen Peters.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then, 1891, William Fuld, I want to call him Fud, buys the rights to the game and records a patent. So, we got William is the one that got it from them too. Okay?
Okay.
1901, 10 years later, his brother, William's brother, Isaac, has his license revoked by Ouija novelty. He tries to keep making the game, but is blocked by a judge.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it might be a problem. And then 1915 was when Pearl, the lady who contacted the housewife, claims that she made contact with the 17th century Arthur, whom she names Patient Worth. She begins publishing and writing the work. And then in 1920, 5 years later, after a 19-year court battle, courts declared only William Fuld can manufacture boards. Isaac is ordered to pay court costs.
Oh, wow.
So the brothers went...
They
which
went.
I don't know why he even tried to like take his brother's patent and stuff. He was doing too much. He didn't consult the board because the board would have told him like, "You gonna lose this battle." But
you should have just asked,
bro. Like, why you trying to take your brother's stuff? But that's crazy that it went through, 3 hands and a 19-year court battle, and then 1920 it was where it really just goes and starts taking off. But Pearl was out here saying she had talked to a 17th century lady.
And that's nuts.
Why would you want... Okay, yes, you would want to talk to a 17th century lady, and like write her workings. That's really cool. Like,
right, like
really
the
cool
concept. It kind of goes into like channeling writing. Sort of.
But what if it wasn't a 17th century woman that you got? What? Excuse me. What if it was somebody that you didn't want? Like,
and really...
I'm gonna say a low vibrating entity. Right. Not necessarily a demon or whatever, but maybe,
And maybe it was a demon making all this shit up.
Yeah. Because they know everything.
Exactly. They want you, they like present themselves in a way that you want them to be.
Yeah. And then they could just keep feeding off that energy. Listen, what if it was the Muffin Man? We need to do that one because Muffin Man was actually a serial
killer, right?
Yeah. What if it was him? We don't want to be talking to the Muffin Man because we don't know him. My nursery rhyme taught me that.
Okay, just speaking of that for a second, why the hell would we then make children's story about, do you know the Muffin Man?
Because it was a way to like stop them
from
going down Drury Lane and that Muffin Man, like to warn them, because he would put a muffin on a string and like lure children into alleys.
God.
Y'all, we will have to do some serial killer ones because listen, the Muffin Man is wild. But yeah, he was fucking crazy. And he would kill his rivals. He killed like 7 rivals. He was like, "Oh, you making good muffins? Fuck you. I'm gonna murder you."
He went to like the bakeries or like whoever was selling them. That's right.
Yeah, he was like, "No, my muffins the best muffins." Yeah, it was wild. Okay, anyways. So, people love the Ouija board game.
They do. It's like
as a game. They don't like it's not a game, y'all. But they love the game.
The
idea of it being a game.
Right. And see, that's where it always goes wrong. They think it's a game and they think, "Oh, all fun and it's going to be a great time." But then shit goes south.
And then all of a sudden everybody's screaming and yelling and scared.
Yeah. Or dead.
Or dead. Yeah, one of the two. And okay, so the Ouija board can be used as a divination tool.
Yes, it can.
So, if you know what you're doing, more power to you.
Right.
If you are experienced in this, if you have done your research, have studied, have been able to, do these things,
right,
then yes, okay, this is a great tool for you. Just like my tarot is a great tool for me. Just like Reiki is a good tool for you.
Right.
But if you don't know what the hell you're doing and you're just doing this at, 10, 13 because you saw it on a movie one time.
Or TikTok.
Or you're a 25-year-old, 30-year-old woman that saw it on TikTok and decided to do it. Or man. Sit your ass down.
No judgment. Man or woman.
Man too. We usually just refer women because we're 2 women. But yeah, men too. Y'all out here doing some wild shit too. Sit down. if you don't stop going on TikTok and just doing everything they do on there,
right?
Not every video is meant for you.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. Not every song is meant for you. Not every video is meant for you. Not everything is meant for you. Divination. Candace is not really into divination that much. She likes it, she enjoys it, but it's not really her thing.
Right.
But healing for me through Reiki and healing things is not for me.
Right.
It's for Candace. You know what I mean? So not everything is for you. You don't have to, do Ouija boards
and
as a divination tool.
If you want to start learning about it and researching and all those things and do it correctly.
Yeah. No judgment here if you're doing it correctly. If you're getting all the information, if you're saying goodbye every time. Don't be out here leaving stuff open.
Right. Did you know when they first made it, it was only $1?
That's wild.
That, I know. Because, so I pulled up how much Ouija boards are now, because when I bought mine, it was I don't know, 15 years ago or something. So this one on Amazon, $20, but they go up to from $20 to $500, depending on if you get a wood one that's carved.
And if it has if it's lifted up or
it's nuts what they've done.
Yeah. And they can make them look. I've also seen it where it's on pants and stuff, on clothing and stuff like that. And I think they're cute. There was some herm pants that were really cute, and it had it over the area. But then I was thinking, what if somebody runs up with a
you would.
Wait, what is it called? I just blanked. The cursor.
Thing. Started with a P.
Oh my gosh, we just blanked. We just talked about it. Planchette.
Dementia.
Planchette. I probably. What if somebody runs up with a planchette and tries to do it on my pants?
Because they make keychains.
Yeah.
Of those.
What if they just what?
What if they come
then
up
I'm
with
the Ouija board.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a whole thing.
Then I'm the portal.
Yeah, don't do that. No pants for you.
No pants, no shirt. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. It's, over and it's on it. It's so cute. And then I thought, yeah, what if somebody does that to me? Because, people don't have boundaries.
No, they don't. They're like, oh my gosh, look, let me go talk to somebody on her pant leg.
And then I'm a portal because they didn't say goodbye because I knocked them out.
Okay, maybe you should not knock them out. You should make them say goodbye.
Make them say goodbye and then knock them out.
Yes.
Because I don't like touching. Okay. So, I know we're jumping all over the place. It was, it's been transformed, okay, over the years, Ouija boards have. They originally start out as very simple and easy to use. The yes, no, the goodbye, and then the letters and the numbers. Well, players would use the planchette, and it would appear to move on its own, and then spell out messages for questions that you had. Well, it was innocent, right? So people didn't really think much of it, but its role in society became darker the more the years went on. So over the past 130 years, it has transformed from a quirky pastime into a symbol of supernatural mystery, evolving into both a cultural icon and a source of fascination. Mm-hmm. People are fascinated with the Ouija board. I literally watched a movie the other day that was called Ouija. Mm-hmm. And so people are obsessed and fascinated by it, but there's also people who don't use it responsibly. They think it's a joke, if that makes sense. Right,
because they think, oh, let's just scare, my friends or my kids or
because
whatever.
A lot of people think the planchette doesn't move on its own. Mm-hmm. So, originally, not originally, but they tell you to put your hands lightly on it. and then it will move. And if you see any of the movies, everybody goes, "Are you moving it?" And then they all take their hands off, and then it just starts moving on its own.
Right.
So a lot of people want to test that out to see if it will move on its own and
so
things
I
like that.
have some rules that we can get into.
Ooh, yes.
You want me to go with
yeah,
the rules?
you go with your rules.
So speaking of people wanting to test to see if it'll move, by itself or whatever, one of the things you should never do is leave it on the board unattended. Like
kind of like a toddler.
Yes, like never just place it on the board, because you are then letting whatever entity in, number one, and they're just going to do whatever they want. Like, then you can't say goodbye. So you have to, be responsible with it, basically. Always say goodbye at the end of a session. Make sure it goes to goodbye as well. So just because you say goodbye and then it's still talking about something else doesn't mean it said goodbye. So you have to make sure the board says goodbye. Okay. Never invite an entity to make a noise, to show its presence, or invite it near you ever. So a lot of people get infatuated with the thought of a spirit talking to them. Then they're like, ooh, can you shut that light off? Ooh, can you close the door? Because then you're I feel like you're giving it more power by inviting it to do things like that.
Well, when you're doing paranormal hunting, you're not supposed to invite anything to touch you. You're supposed to tell them you can't touch me.
Right. This one actually taught me something about it, because I didn't realize this was a thing. Don't ever let how do you say this? Planchette go from A to Z or 1 to 0, either forwards or backwards, because that is a sign for a spirit to get into the human realm. If it just goes through,
A, B, C, D.
Don't ever let it do that, it says. If this happens, stop it and say goodbye until it moves to goodbye. It's holy shit. So these are the things that people don't get. Don't ever play in the cemetery. This should be just this is the common sense,
Yeah, you don't take your Ouija board to the cemetery, and you know what? Hey, that reminds me of somebody's psychic going to a cemetery. That's a lot of dead people trying to talk to you.
It says this is just asking for trouble. The dead do not want to be disturbed. If someone goes to your house while you're resting and continually calls you outside the door, I'm sure you wouldn't be very happy.
That is true.
And it's very, I would be so freaking annoyed.
Yeah.
If somebody was standing outside of my window.
And these people finally got peace, and now you're out here, hey, you gonna come out?
Come on.
No.
And I feel
you don't leave us alone.
So disrespectful. But then again, you see it in movies. You see stupid people. Sorry if this is you. That's rude of me to say stupid people.
Nah, you stupid.
Taking something to a cemetery just to be disrespectful. It's rude and inconsiderate.
And that's not your family member.
Right.
That's not somebody you know. Don't be rude to other people.
Oh, look at this one. It says, do not let it make a figure 8. Over and over and over again, because that's also them trying to come to the human realm.
Okay.
Always play with respect, guys. It says, imagine a Ouija board as an online chat room where you post your telephone number and wait for someone to call you. You have no idea who's on the other line. Respect everybody.
Well, let me tell you, some of them can mess your life up.
Heck yeah. I just thought those were some good, basic rules. Because it doesn't really come with directions, like I said earlier. You just kind of have to have that moral and that respect line of not doing stuff like that.
That you're not playing around kind of thing. So, as we know, a lot of people just immediately assume that it is a portal for demonic forces to come through and murder everyone. So, over the decades, depictions of the Ouija board shifted from lighthearted and romantic to increasingly ghostly and true crime focused, right?
Okay.
So, by the late 1960s, the board's image took a dramatic turn because it was influenced by the events such as the Manson murders and the rise of the Church of Satan.
Okay.
The pivotal moment came in 1973 when they released The Exorcist. So the film, which was loosely based on a true story, includes a brief scene depicting a child playing alone with a Ouija board, through which she later became possessed. Kozik says this was the first time he feels suggested that evil could come through the board in this way. So
that's what started.
Yeah, that's what first time where it was like, oh, this could be a problem. Like, we shouldn't let...
It only took, what, 60 years?
No, 1890 was when it... No, 1886 was when it was started.
So it only took,
90... No, 60...
75
years.
We don't math this early in the morning, everybody. Just so everybody's aware. But it's like, oh, man. Maybe it's...
Almost 100 years.
Yeah. That's...
Which, if you remember, it was said at the beginning, newspapers were saying, hey, this communicates with the dead. But then, finally in 1973, it was put into a movie. And they was like, oh, yeah, it might be able to possess people.
It might be a bad thing.
Shouldn't let your child play with it alone, because then your child's crawling up walls backwards and stuff. Jeez. So, the film was a horror movie, as we all know. I mean, I don't know if you've seen The Exorcist. You've never seen any movies, so I'm surprised you have.
No, I like scary movies, so
Oh, okay. So
just because I don't see your movies.
Oh, the good ones? Yeah.
Oh, I can't with you.
Yeah, the good witchy ones?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was obviously a horror movie based on a true story. And when you start thinking things can happen to you, that's when things get questionable. Because in 1967, the Ouija's outsold Monopoly.
Oh my gosh. And Monopoly is...
Yeah. Monopoly
the thing.
The only game before or since to do so. Nothing has ever outsold Monopoly other than the Ouija board.
Wow.
So so over 2 million boards were sold that year alone, setting the stage for the fear and fascination that followed The Exorcist.
Wow. But that just goes to show, number one, how movies can affect certain things in life. So people may not have looked at it or viewed it as a way for it to possess you or... But then as soon as they saw that, they're like, oh my gosh, that looks dangerous. Let's go do it.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's immediate. You know what we should do?
Yeah.
We should go play with this. I saw it in this movie one time and she got possessed. What if we get possessed? So personal experience with Ouija boards, I usually do not mess with them, okay? I usually don't, go all and I'm like, hey, let's play with this Ouija board. I have known people who have played with the Ouija board and then they have had later health issues like back problems and just unfortunate. Right. And when they play with the Ouija board, they mentioned how they felt something jump on their back. Well, then years later, they end up with back
And
issues.
you know, it makes you wonder, like, if it was whoever was talking to them, part of them,
and they didn't close it out either.
See, so maybe they were technically carrying sort of that spirit with them, sort of.
Bro jumped on your back and attacked.
Nope. Nope. That's why I don't.
You have to be very careful. For my young audience, for our young audience, don't be out here playing with stupid stuff.
Right.
For our old audience, y'all should know better, and you should be able to do your own research and make good decisions.
And you can find, if you want to scare yourself, look up stories on like hauntings and Ouija boards. There's so much stuff out there because like you said earlier, once you think, like say if something moves, you're like kind of scared a little bit, and that opens you up for more things to happen.
Fear opens you up for other things to get you.
Especially if you're using it during Samhain.
Yes.
The veil is thinner. Like, there's more stuff that can happen. So just, if you want to scare yourself and go down a rabbit hole, do that.
Yes, but don't actually buy it unless you've really... Because also you don't want it just in your house and then somebody just play with it. Like, you know, a lot of people have it as, like, decoration and stuff. Like, and then somebody comes into your house and then they're just like, oh, look at this. And then they start messing with it. And you don't know, you know, you might have went to the bathroom and they didn't say goodbye, and then you got stuff.
And now you have poltergeist.
Yes. And you're like, I don't know how I got this poltergeist. Well, that one person played with it and you didn't know it. So make sure you're just always aware of what you have. And go to sources that are credible and know what they're talking about.
Yes.
Because we found our sources from, I had sources from the Library of Congress, from National Geographic, from
and it's been around so long that all these people have done research. And stuff, so.
And just be careful is the main thing. And definitely don't just go to a seance to do a seance, because you also need to make sure the person that is doing the seance knows what they're doing. Yes. Because there's been lots of moments where people have gone to a seance and the person was a joke, or like, you know what I mean? They didn't know what they were doing. They just wanted people's money or things like that. Mm-hmm. And then they end up with problems. And don't ever get so desperate that you want to talk to the dead that you're willing to talk to anybody.
And I think that messes with a lot of people.
Yes.
Especially when you have loss or
grief.
Recent loss or grief. Like, people want to be able to talk to whoever. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they like to play because they don't have anything better to do. So they're like, oh yeah, I can be your mom. Or I can be whoever. Like, you don't really know. So just be mindful.
Definitely. Be very mindful, very demure. Don't
she
play
had
with...
to throw that word in there. Oh my gosh.
Don't play with low vibrating entities. Because unless you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. There are some people who work with demons. There are some people who work with low vibrating entities and Ouija boards, and
and they know what they're doing.
And they know what they're doing because they have done the research. But yeah, it's very creepy. Ouija boards can suck you in and really.
So what's the vote? Are we gonna go play with the Ouija board?
Nah, I don't think so.
All right. Well, if you change your mind, let me know.
Maybe after we record this, we'll talk about it.
We'll let you know next week how it works out.
I don't know if we've had enough research done on this.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
But
it still scares me. Like, I don't think I would be, even like knowing the stuff that we know about it, I don't think I would want to, just because it can open a lot of stuff, a lot of darkness and stuff. So.
Yeah, and I think it would definitely not benefit you because you're so light and healing and
Yeah, I don't
all
think
those
so either.
things. It would not do you any.
I'm too
good.
nice. Is what she's saying. I'm
Yeah,
too nice.
they'd be like,
Oh,
it's
look
Candace?
at this one.
Oh, okay. We gonna mess with her. We gonna do her dirty because she's so nice. And she's all like apologizing. I'm sorry that you think that way. To the board. I'm like, if you don't stop. Yeah, so don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. PSA. Go watch all the movies.
Yeah.
So funny, so good. And you can sit there and be like, you're supposed to close it.
Because
you're
now
not
you
supposed
know.
to do the figure 8. So, because now you know. So, that is our first episode.
What do we have for him next week?
Next week we are going to talk about voodoo dolls and puppets.
Ooh, I can't wait.
They are different, but kind of the same. So, that one's going to be super interesting. Y'all have a great day. Have a great October. Don't get sucked into the Ouija madness. And remember that it's a good time to be around in October.
Absolutely.
So, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.